So the NBA trade deadline is a time for teams to improve their rosters. This is the stretch where contenders are supposed to make those final moves to better their roster and clean up their rotation. Fringe teams are supposed to fight for play-in spots, and everyone else tries to build some sort of momentum to finish this season strong. But that's not what we're seeing. Instead, this year, the second the deadline passed, we saw a handful of teams just decide to hit the brakes. Lineups get younger and rotations get thinner, and it's not subtle. Teams are blatantly positioning themselves to lose games, all for that better shot at a draft pick that might save their franchise, aka tanking. But what makes this problem so much more infuriating is the NBA has tried to fight it. They've changed the lottery odds, they've flattened the percentages, they've introduced the play-in tournament to keep teams competitive. But unfortunately, every move that the NBA has implemented to try and stop this problem has honestly only made it worse. And this season might be the clearest proof yet. But very quickly before we get into this video, if you guys enjoy this type of content, all things NBA, please make sure to hit that like button on this video. And if you guys want to stick around and be a part of my community, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I am on the road to 1,000 subscribers to try and get monetized here on YouTube. And so right now, any subscription means so much to me. And I also just want to take a very quick second to thank each and every one of you for the recent support on my videos and on my channel. Over this past week, I have gained over 100 subscribers, which is growth that I've never seen before on this channel. And so I am just super appreciative of everybody that is showing love on the videos and is showing love on the channel. So again, thank you guys so much. Also, make sure to comment down below your thoughts on tanking in the NBA. Are you okay with it? Is it just a part of the game? Or do you think tanking should not be a thing and it worsens the NBA as a product? But with all that out of the way, let's talk hoops. So the other night, I was just kind of scrolling on Twitter, checking out NBA highlights, checking out NBA news, and I ended up stumbling on this tweet from Josh Robbins saying, "Add this to the tanking files. The Jazz led the Magic 94-87 going into the fourth quarter tonight. Lauri Markkanen and Triple J had already combined for 49 points, but they were held out of the entire fourth quarter. Utah lost the game 120-117. And I also was seeing tweets that apparently not only was Lauri Markkanen and Triple J kept out of the fourth quarter, but 4 out of the Utah Jazz 5 starters didn't touch the court for the entire fourth quarter in a clutch, close game. And then to make it worse, I saw one last tweet that in the Wizards' last game against the Nets, they only played 8 players in their rotation. And if you look at the 8 players that they played, there are a lot of guys that don't really play much in the NBA. We do have a Sharif Cooper sighting, which is very cool, but it's very obvious that tanking is becoming, once again, a huge issue in the NBA, like it was, I would say 10 years ago. So way back before I was born, the NBA's first kind of solution in order to keep teams from purposely losing and making their draft pick better was the NBA lottery. This made it so that the worst team in the NBA that season didn't directly get the #1 overall pick right away, but they had the highest lottery odds to get the pick. And so this was done to make purposefully losing or tanking a little less enticing for NBA teams, because you could lose and be the worst team in the NBA, but you don't have that guaranteed #1 overall pick, that guaranteed #1 overall player. But what we saw was that wasn't enough to keep teams from tanking. Ultimately, the way the lottery worked was the worst team in the NBA got a 25% chance at the #1 overall pick. And so it seemed like for a lot of NBA teams, that 25% chance was still good enough, still enticing enough to not keep them from tanking. And ultimately, this issue got to a peak in the mid-2010s with, I would probably say, the Philadelphia 76ers, who were probably the most blatant tankers in NBA history. Years and years and years of top draft picks with Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz, Jahlil Okafor. They had players and their GM at the time basically saying in the media like, yeah, we're tanking, we're purposely being bad so that we can, collect top picks and top prospects year after year. And that's where the phrase trust the process was born. And so in 2019, the NBA changed the lottery odds once again to make it now so that the top 3 worst teams in the NBA all have an equal 14% chance for the top pick. They thought that this was going to fix the tanking problem because now you could be the worst team in the NBA, but you now only have a 14% chance at a number 1 overall pick. And on paper, this should have worked. But in reality, this created a whole new monster. Because now in this season, tanking is as bad as we've ever seen it. And now this season, we are seeing, not only those examples that I explained earlier, but the Brooklyn Nets, another terrible team in the Eastern Conference, going out and sending out lineups that are scoring 60 points and 70 points in an NBA game. And the reason that it's getting so bad again is because with the new lottery odds, it makes it so much harder for bad teams, especially bad small market teams, to get out of the hole that they're in. Because before the change, the worst team in the NBA had a 25% chance at the first overall pick and could not drop lower than the 4th pick. But now with the new lottery odds, the worst team in the NBA has a 14% chance to get the number 1 overall pick, a total about 53% chance to get picks 1 through 4, but then a 47% chance to fall all the way to pick 5, as well as the number 2 worst team could fall all the way to 6, and the number 3 worst team could fall all the way to pick 7. And it seems like we see that happen every single year since they've changed the lottery odds. Like my favorite team, the Detroit Pistons, were the worst team in the NBA for 2 straight seasons and dropped to the 5 pick in 2 straight seasons. And at the same time, we are seeing these teams that are late lottery odds teams jumping up to getting the number 1, the number 2 pick. Like last year, the Dallas Mavericks, yes, they were a bad team, but they were a late lottery odd team. They were supposed to get a late lottery pick, and they ended up somehow getting the 1st overall pick in the draft and getting a generational prospect like Cooper Flagg. The San Antonio Spurs, who are now the 2nd seed in the West this season, somehow jumped up to get the 2nd pick, while terrible teams like the Utah Jazz dropped to 5, like the Washington Wizards dropped to like 6 or 7, I think. Like we're seeing the terrible teams that actually need these generational prospects falling in the draft every single year, while random teams that, are bad but are not nearly as bad as the upper echelon of garbage in the NBA are somehow getting lucky every single year in this lottery and getting the 1st overall pick, getting the 2nd overall pick. And I want to have this disclaimer because, there's a lot of conspiracy, a lot of speculation that the NBA lottery is rigged. But unfortunately, there is no concrete proof that the NBA lottery is rigged. It's all speculation. It's all conspiracy. And so I'm not going to sit up here on this video and, for sure be like, yes, the NBA lottery is rigged. There's no doubt about it. But I'm more so just saying that the way that the NBA lottery works now, it just doesn't help these terrible teams, get out of the hole that they're in. Because if you're a small market bad team, the only way you can develop is through the draft. No free agents are going to want to come to your team. Like, that's just a fact. And we've seen teams like the Washington Wizards and the Utah Jazz be bad for years because every single year they're one of the worst teams in the NBA, and so they're hoping to be rewarded with a top draft pick, and they just they drop to the 5 or the 6 pick, and then it's like, okay, well, we can't sign anybody in free agency, nobody wants to come here, so I guess next year we have to do it all over again. And so now, instead of the NBA thinking that these new lottery odds were going to push teams to try and win, to try and make themselves better every season, no, instead, they're just forced even more to tank because ultimately every single year they're getting bad draft picks and they can't improve their team. And it turns these stints of tanking for NBA teams into multi-year tank fests. And that's the main issue why tanking has got so bad again. Now, I could sit up here and, say I have all the solutions to fix the tanking problem, but unfortunately I don't. But I do think the NBA needs to revert the lottery system back to how it was pre-2019 because, although we saw teams tanking back then, at least we only saw them tanking for a couple years and getting top picks and then being good again. Right now, the system forces the same teams to be bad for multiple years until they can get lucky enough to get top draft picks, while also making it easier for mediocre teams to just randomly get the top prospect in a draft one year. And ultimately, I think the NBA made the system actually worse instead of fixing it. And now we have teams that are so obviously and unethically tanking night in and night out. And Adam Silver, of course, could do something about it, but he's not gonna, because he's too busy focused on creating a Euro League for the NBA, because that's what everybody asked for. Ultimately, for me, like, the solution to try and fix this tanking problem, I feel like has to be done by making it easier for bad small market teams to draw players to their squad or to their city. Honestly, I'm not sure how they could do that, but the system in place right now where the worst teams in the NBA who solely are relying on draft picks in order to try and improve their team and dropping to the 5th, 6th, 7th pick every single year, that system just doesn't work. And ultimately, instead of enticing tanking, teams are just straight up forced to tank because they're forced to lose every single year because they can't get any good players to improve their team, whether it be in the draft or whether it be in free agency. But ultimately, the NBA tried to fix tanking and made it worse, and we are seeing it full force this season. I feel like I'm ranting right now, so I'm going to cut myself off, and that's really all I got for this video today, guys. If you guys have made it this far, first of all, thank you guys so much for watching. And also, if you guys have made it this far, press that like button. You guys made it to the end of the video. You obviously enjoyed it. And also, if you guys want to join my community, stick around. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Again, thank you guys so much for all the recent support that I've gotten on the videos and on the channel. It means the world to me. Again, make sure to comment down below your thoughts on tanking. Do you not see it as a problem? Do you just see it as a part of the game? Or do you think tanking is a very big issue in the league right now? Lastly, if you guys want to see more content from me, YouTube actually thinks you'll really like this video right here. So once this video wraps up, make sure to click on that and you can see another great piece of NBA content that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. But that's really all I got for today, guys. So as always, peace and love.